What's good, YouTube? Sensational Series here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for January 14th, 2022's Vendor Reset. So let's get right into this to see what we got good for this week. For our first gear items, head over to Camp Hudson. Here the weapons vendor has a high velocity magazine. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Hudson. Head over to the gear vendor here. We got a prototype stamina mod with 263 stamina and 3,205 skill power. For our next gear items, head over to the base of operations. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent refreshed on there. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the weapons vendor here. We got a Marine Super 90. Also here we have an extended magazine. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here we have an historian. Next here we have a converted SMG 9A2. Also here we have a custom L86A2. Also here we have a tactical mask with the talent enduring. Also here we got a tactical vest with the talent reckless. Next here we have a high velocity magazine. Also here we got a large suppressor FDE. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got a classic M44 carbine blueprint with a gear score of 256. Next here we have a holster blueprint with a gear score of 256. And also here we got a small laser pointer blueprint with a power level 34. For our next gear items, head over to the cavern. Here the gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent refreshed on there. For our next gear items, head over to Camp Clinton. Here the special equipment vendor has a liberator. Next here we got a pecan if you like this weapon. Also here we got a Cassidy. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Clinton. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got a firearms mask blueprint with a gear score of 256. Next here we have an electronics vest blueprint with a gear score of 256. And also here we got a flash hider blueprint with a power level 34. For our next gear items, head over to Wolves Den. Here the weapons vendor has a pro red dot sight. For our next gear items, head over to Madison Stand. Here the gear vendor has an operator pack with the talent specialized. For our next gear items, head over to the South Paw. Here the gear vendor has an operator pack with the talent specialized. Next here we have a prototype electronics mod with 280 electronics and 4% damage to elites. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 7.50% mobile cover health. For our next gear items, head over to the Grindhouse. Here the weapons vendor has a heavy magazine spring. For our next gear items, head over to the Firewall. Here the gear vendor has a prototype stamina mod with 265 stamina and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. For our next gear items, head over to the Crypt. Here the weapons vendor has an MG5. For our next gear items, head over to West 39th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a loud vent brake. For our next gear items, head over to West 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a gunslinger vest with the talent rapid. And also here we got a prototype firearms mod with 260 firearms and 3% skill haste. For our next gear items, head over to West 53rd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a rugged mini reflex sight. For our next gear items, head over to East 64th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype performance mod with 5% ballistic shield damage resilience. For our next gear items, head over to the Park Ave checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a first wave Vector 45 ACP. Next here we got a paratrooper SVD, and also here we got an MG5. For our next gear items, head over to East 53rd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype performance mod with 5% first aid self-heal. For our next gear items, head over to East 42nd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an extended magazine. For our next gear items, head over to East 40th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a loud vent brake. For our next gear items, head over to East 31st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an AUG A3 Power XS. Next here we have a Spec Ops pack with the talent Relentless. Also here we have a prototype performance mod with 2% post critical hit chance. And also here we got a Tyrant suppressor. For our next gear items, head over to DZ2 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a Spec Ops armor with the talent Reckless. And also here we have some operator gloves with the talent Savage. For our next gear items, head over to DZ4 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype performance mod with 6% sticky bomb explosion radius. For our next gear items, head over to DZ8 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has an operator pack with the talent Inventive. And also here we have some gunslinger gloves with the talent Savage. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video for January 14th, 2022's Vendor Reset. I hope everybody tuned into it, found out something that they needed. Smash on that sub and like button, y'all. I appreciate that support, and I'll see y'all with the next one. Everybody take care, peace.